Now, before I finish, let me just say, I did not come here to show out, did not come here to impress you, because to tell you the truth, when I leave here, I'm gone, and I don't care what you think about me, but just remember, when it hits the fan, brother, whether it's next year, 10 years, 20 years from now, you'll never be able to say that these brothers lied to you, Jack.
Yo, what up? It's your boy Eben, you already know. Today I want to break down some of the jewels. I want to try to glean some of the pearls, some of the jewels that was actually inside the movie Superman. I want to try to talk about some of the messages, the hidden messages, in an attempt to get the viewer, you, to start to try to think outside of the box, to start to try to think a little bit more intuitive, to start to try to think, to try to see things, to see beneath the surface and to see things a little bit deeper than what you usually do. And with that being said, I just wanna make a little disclaimer, you know what I'm saying, because I'm drinking my coffee. You already know it's early in the morning, so I'm drinking my coffee, and so I just wanna make a little disclaimer that, you know, I might be a little bit hyper, I might be a little bit energetic due to the fact that I got this good cup of coffee going on. So I apologize if I interrupt from time to time to drink my coffee because it's so good. But yeah, so the movie Superman and the actual benefits that you can glean from the story, that you can glean from this movie. The first thing that I want to acknowledge is the fact that Lois Lane, she was in love, she liked Clark Kent, but she was in love with Superman. Lois Lane, she liked Clark Kent, but she was in love and she was infatuated with Superman. And you know, Clark Kent, he was cool and all that, but at the end of the day, like, he had a lot of you know, flaws. He was geeky. He was shy, he was clumsy, and so, you know, a lot of people didn't mind if he was around, but they didn't really necessarily want him in their circle, you know? So Clark Kent did what I do, and that is, when the people make a circle to keep me out, I make an even bigger circle to bring them in. And what that means is that, you know, to walk gently upon this earth, and when people do things to discourage you, just react to them in a polite manner. React to them, be kind, be courteous, be thoughtful, and be patient. Now, when Clark Kent stepped into the telephone booth, he was just an ordinary man. But if you could remember, back in the 80s, the early 90s, most of the 90s, the telephone booth was real popular. As a matter of fact, the telephone booth was as popular as the cell phones are today. And so, the first thing that would happen, the first thing that would happen when a person would step into the telephone booth is, exactly, the light would come on. The second thing that would happen is that they would pick up a book. Not this book. This is The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill. It's a very good book. You should go out and buy it. Go out and get it. There's a lot of good information in this book. But the first thing that would happen when a person steps inside of a telephone booth, the light would come on. Alright? Second thing that would happen, they would pick up the telephone book. Now, excuse me. Oh my goodness. Coffee is whammy. That means it's good. So anyway, the second thing that would happen is that once they picked up the book, because they go into the telephone booth lacking knowledge. Because if you don't know where a person lives at, then you can't get there. If you don't have their address, then you don't have their phone number. So what the person does is they go in and they look and they say, okay, that's where such and such lives at. Okay, all right. Oh, okay. I got the address. Now I got the phone number. I got the address. Now I got the phone number. So what does that mean? That means that this person has just been elevated in their knowledge. Knowledge is a candle. It's a candle and it's a light. It's a candle and it's a light for a person that is in darkness. It is a light for the person that's carrying the candle, and it is a light for the people that are following the person that is carrying the candle. So knowledge is symbolic to light. Knowledge is symbolic to being able to see, inner light, being enlightened. Now, before I lose my train of thought, that person has been elevated in their status of knowledge. So what does that mean? That they stepped into the telephone booth with a very low station of knowledge, but then it elevated. How? Through obtaining information. And so once that person steps out of the telephone booth, they step out of the telephone booth in a better condition than when they went in there. Because like I was trying to make the metaphor about being enlightened, now they possess the information that will help them in their travels. And so a person steps out of the telephone booth, and now what I want to do is I want to bring before you a metaphor. I want to bring before you a simile, a similitude, a parable, however you want to word it, however you want to put it. I want to bring it closer to your mind. I want you to start to think outside of the box. I want you to start to think, to look deeper than the surface, because there's a lot going on. But if you're not consciously aware, and if you're not sensitive to what's going on, then you'll miss it. So come on, let's go. Welcome. Okay, I'm gonna show you a little something about the movie Superman. And like I was saying, the telephone booth is, in order for me to really make this thing happen, in order for me to really bring this close to your mind, you're gonna have to broaden your imagination and enhance your imagination. I'm big on imagination because with imagination you could bring things into creation. You know, God didn't give us cars, He gave us metal. He said, okay, do what you do. Use your imagination. God didn't give us furniture, He gave us trees. He said, alright, listen, go for what you know, do what you do. Alright, so I'm big on imagination, and you should be too. Alright, so let's use the telephone booth as let's just say the telephone booth is symbolic to the facility that they call a college. Let's just say that a young man or a young woman, when they go to go into the college, their knowledge about whatever they're majoring in is undeveloped. And so what does that mean? Their knowledge is undeveloped. Their knowledge is shy. Their knowledge is goofy. Because it's not developed. Their knowledge is in the same condition that Clark Kent was before he stepped into the telephone booth. Now remember, the whole process that took place inside the telephone booth was what? Yeah, exactly. The light came on. So when a person, whether a young man or a young woman, when they go into college, what happens? The light comes on. They start to become enlightened. They become endowed with knowledge of whatever they're majoring in, whether it's to be a lawyer, whether it's to be a doctor, but they become endowed with this information. Excuse me for a second. Man, yo, that's some good ass coffee. Word on, that's some good coffee, yo. I be doing my thing when it come to that coffee, you heard? So yeah, so the next thing that happens when an individual goes into a telephone booth is that they pick up the book. Same thing with a person that goes into college. They go into the college, light comes on. Second thing, they pick up the book. When they pick up the book, what happens is they start to gather information. They start to learn how to do research. They start to learn how to comprehend. They start to learn how to focus. They start to learn how to concentrate. They start to learn how to be intuitive. And guess what? Guess what? That's the process. That's the process that takes place for a student of knowledge. And listen, gathering information and being a student of knowledge is not easy. It's not easy. As a matter of fact, it's one of the most difficult things that a person endeavors that a person can take on. You know, when I was young, I used to fill my hands. When I was young, I would fill my hands up with water, and I would watch it to try to hold the water in. But no matter how hard I tried to make my hands close so that the water wouldn't be lost. Sooner or later, my hands were empty. And I'm just using this as an analogy to show you about life. Because whether you want to hear this or not, we are all losers. That's right. And you know what? I don't know why I'm here, but now that I'm here, I might as well go ahead and handle my handle. I don't know how I got here. I don't know how I got to this part of the conversation. But since I'm here, I'm gonna handle my handle and show you what I mean. We are all losers. And if somebody out there, if you think that you're not a loser, then contact me, because you must be an alien you must be a Moonian from the moon, or you must be an ET or something, an extraterrestrial, because at the end of the day, baby, at the end of the book, we all lose. So if you don't consider yourself a loser, then you're not in touch with truth, because just like I just showed you, that it was impossible for me to keep all that water in my hand, that I lost it, that it dripped from my hand. Check it out. One day, when you wake up, you will have lost a tooth. One day, when you wake up, you will have lost some of your hair. One day, when you wake up, you will have lost some of your health. One day, when you wake up, you will have lost some of the stuff that you work for, some of your wealth. One day, when you wake up, you will have lost some of your family members, some of your loved ones. It's called life, the natural process and the natural order of life. You know what I'm talking about? So, at the end of the book, baby, yeah, you're a loser. Okay? Because this physical frame must go back to where it came from. And that's the essence. Now, getting back to what I was saying. Knowledge is hard. Knowledge is difficult to hold on to. Because like everything else, it wants to escape your grasp. So you have to hold on to it. Now, an individual that is in college, once they step out of the college arena, once they get done with their course, once they get done with the process, irregardless to how difficult it was, irregardless to how long it took them, irregardless to all of the mistakes and the setbacks and the failures and the difficulties and the trials and the tribulations, once that process is over, excuse me, oh my God. That coffee. Yo, I make the best coffee, son. Word is born. Alright, so anyway, once that process is done,
this is a T custom.
Listen, Superman, Clark Kent, when he went into the telephone booth, he went through a process. When he came out, he had a cape on. He was able to fly over everyone's head and save the person in distress, right? Okay, so now a person that goes into college and studies how to be a lawyer, once they come out of college, let me show you something. The books that they study, a real teacher, a real good teacher will always tell you things using parables, using metaphors. Why? because it's a lot easier to bring it closer to your mind, and it's a lot easier for you to understand when it's broken down in terms of things that you might be more familiar with. Okay? And so a good teacher that draws on the chalkboard a picture of a bird, if you look at a book looks very closely, a book looks very similar to what? To a bird. I know this looks so goofy right here, but I don't care, because I want you to get this. Because knowledge is power, so much so that it gives you wings. The wings to fly above your adversaries. The wings to rise above your trials and your tribulations. The wings to rise up above your opposition. The wings to rise up above your current situation. The wings to rise up against your haters. So let me say that again. The person that comes out of college that's well learned and has well studied to be a doctor, to be a lawyer, to be a cook, to be a firefighter, to be whatever, listen to me. They now have the ability to fly because this knowledge has given them the internal wings to rise above. Have you ever heard of I know this is a cliche, but have you ever heard of the colloquial saying that, check it out, have you ever heard of the colloquial saying, yo, that went right over my head, cause I ain't understand nothing you just said. That went right over my head, yo. Right? Because if somebody says something and your intelligence or your comprehension or your concentration or your focus cannot reach up and grab what they said and bring it in and process it, then that means that you just didn't get it because you didn't get it because you can't understand it. But what knowledge does is it gives you a level and it gives you an elevated station so that you can get it, so that you can understand. With all that being said, I just want to say that a doctor that is standing in a gymnasium full of people that have legal issues. A doctor that is standing in a gymnasium full of people that have legal issues. All of those people are in distress. And just like Superman, he was always interested in saving the people that were in distress. And so, this person's knowledge about law enables them to fly over everyone's head. Well, listen, their knowledge flies over everyone's head. And it saves the one in distress. It saves the one in distress.
This is a team custom.
If there was a doctor that if there was a student that went to college to be a doctor, when they came out, if you put that doctor in a gymnasium full of people that have health afflictions, that had illnesses, that doctor's knowledge about medicine, that doctor's knowledge about medicine, that doctor's knowledge about different medicines, it flies over the person's head that is in affliction, that is ill, and it rescues them. Their knowledge is what gives you wings. Their knowledge is what gives them wings. So you don't have to put on a vigilante suit, and you don't have to put on some type of cape, you know what I'm saying, in order to be a hero. All you gotta do is stay with the process. Now I don't know what your telephone booth look like, but that's your process. Some people might be trying to be a barber. You know, I'm having my hair is growing long. I want to go get a shape up. I go to the barber. The barber, their skills to cut hair flies over my head. It's over me. I can't just sit down and give somebody a haircut. So I walk out of that barbershop in a better condition because you saved me, because I was in distress, because I needed a haircut. So when I walked out, even though it was on a minuscule level, even though it was on a micro level, when I walked out, guess what? You was I want to use some cuss words, but you was my motherfucking hero. How? Why? Simple. Blame it on the coffee. Simple. Because you saved me. I was in distress. Listen, I don't know what your telephone booth look like. I don't know what I don't know what that place of development looks like for you. You might be going to be a nurse. You might be going to be a lawyer. You might be in your telephone booth. May just be to be a mother. I mean, you know, so the process is, how do you study to be a mother? Well, that's something that only you could answer. You know, what does your telephone booth look like? You know, you could be studying how to be. You want to be a good father. Well, how does that process look like? To each his own, because everybody's experience is different. Now, if you show up for your kids for their birthday, at a football game, at a soccer game, then you're a superhero in their eyes. But you didn't get there. You didn't just get out of the bed and get to that point where you can show up for people, where you can be responsible, independent, and where you can be the type of good parent that you are. That when your kid sees you, they not only see you, but they see a cape on your back because you saved him. So your telephone booth was that place of development. And I hope that I did this, I hope that I did this metaphor some justice, dude. Because real talk, like for real, like I'm long-winded and all that, but I'm really trying to make a point. I'm trying to sit this thing in your lap so you understand. Don't be discouraged when it comes to the process of learning. You should want to be a student of knowledge all the way until the day of your death. You want to learn something all the way up until the day that you die. All the way up until the end of the book, baby. You want to be a student of knowledge. Because knowledge will elevate you. Knowledge will give you the wings. And knowledge will help you to see things and see life in a different perspective.